Apa khabar semua? Salam sejahtera, bertemu kembali dalam satu lagi edisi forum Pertemuan Bern pada hari ini, dan hari terakhir untuk minggu ini menjanjikan dua tetamu istimewa daripada Malaysian Gymnastics Federation 2019. Banyak perubahan yang berlaku dan juga ada nama-nama yang tidak asing lagi di masa akan datang. Sekarang ni dah pun menunjukkan dalam bahasa Inggeris yang kata promise untuk menjadi seseorang yang akan mengharumkan nama Malaysia di peringkat dunia, di persada dunia. Yang saya maksudkan adalah bekas atlet gym rama negara bernama Rachel Lau yang juga merupakan Presiden Malaysian Gymnastics Federation MGF. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being here.
Thank you for
spending time with us today. And also Iman Alisha Fakri Yassin yang merupakan atlet gym rama harapan negara. Okey, baru beraksi di Sukma baru-baru ini, merekodkan satu emas dalam acara pasukan perak belantan, satu gangsa dalam gelung pada Sukma 2018 di Stadium Indra Mulia Ipoh untuk Sukma 2018. Okey, so bersama dengan Rachel terlebih dahulu, let's talk about it's been a couple of months since you've held the new president of Malaysian Gymnastics Federation, being the president, and of course, as a former rhythmic gymnast yourself, what have you seen so far, and how was it like actually meeting the gymnast fraternity in that sense?
I think it's been fun, right? So, I've taken office for about 6 weeks now. I have left the sport for about 17 years, so it's been a long time. But at the same time, going back to familiar faces, so good, the same coach has been there, right. The judges, the gymnasts. The gymnasts are much younger, hopefully.
Yeah.
But, it's been fun going back to a sport that, I love and, Alisha loves.
Right.
So, it's been fun. I'd say,
Right.
and interesting also to see the other stakeholders coming together and, trying to make the sport a lot better and more fun for the kids.
Amazing, and I can't wait to see what in Malay they say pendekatan, or the approach that you're going to take with the kids, and of course getting them to where they need to be, right? Iman Alisha, more comfortable with Alisha, obviously. So Alisha,
Yes.
Kita tahu and we know about the fact that your dreams are obviously to make it to the Olympics. So you obviously did so well in Sukma, and there's so much pressure on you to deliver. So as a young athlete, share with me, how do you see that pressure and how do you make that dream eventually come true?
Well, I train a lot, so once I train a lot more, I get more comfortable with the situation, and I don't really feel so much pressure. But when it comes to big competitions, I do feel the pressure, but
Right.
I know that the biggest competition is always against myself. And
Wow. So well said at such a young age. How old are you, Alisha, for all the fans out there?
I am 14 years old.
Saya ada tengok kamera lagi tau. I am 14 years old. Okay, Alisha, talking about the fact that you're 14 years old and we mentioned about practice, training. You mentioned that just now, but how much does practice and training alone makes you feel less pressure in that sense? Because you're prepared. So
Yeah.
what sort of pressure are you actually feeling? Is it the weight of expectation? Is it those kind of stuff?
I get pressure when I need to handle my apparatus. I get really scared when I drop an apparatus.
Understood.
So that's what I'm pressured about, but I'm fine with the other things.
Right, brilliant stuff. Going back to Rachel, we can see clearly from your spirits itself in helping these young gymnasts have, those who have really good talents, and we're talking about the path that you're actually going to lead them towards in their long-term careers. So, but what sort of like the vision, aspirations that you see personally for Malaysian gymnasts today that you probably didn't have back then?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is also bringing gymnastics to the mainstream. So people talk about gymnastics as, 1998 Commonwealth Games.
Exactly, people still think about
And yes, exactly. So
20 years ago.
So I joke about the fact that, we have to move forward as well, right? And so, I came back from Hong Kong and New York and Australia with the experience or with the knowledge of bringing back some of the expertise and, institutionalization of the corporate world and hopefully bringing it to the sports world.
Yeah.
And so when we look at gymnastics as a whole, we're looking at, bringing it to the 21st century. So, bringing in new tech, for example,
Wow.
better data to understand our athletes, to get peak performances from our athletes, but also at the same time, getting them to become a more holistic person. So not just looking at them as, a sports person in the future, but also bringing them to be better people.
Wow.
And I think that's something that we forget about, So sports is one, facet of their lives, but we also have to bring them forward and become leaders, right? So these kids are, extremely talented in what they're doing. They can withstand the pressure, which is, something that you've learned from a very young age.
Exactly.
So how do we bring them, to be leaders in the future generations to be?
That's so well said. That's amazing, and yeah, we can't wait to see that sort of work within all the athletes that we have. And I think it should go across the board, not just gymnastics per se. Alisha, talking about the fact that you're so disciplined at such a young age. You're only 14 years old. You know how to answer questions. You talk pretty well as well, and also the fact that you can handle pressure at such a young age. But I guess the question is, at 14 years old, there's so many temptations that you face on a daily basis. There's peer pressure. There's so many things, right? So how do you sort of put that aside and just focus on what you need to do?
Studies and gym. So
Right.
my parents, they want me and my siblings to concentrate more on studies and gym. We have to have a balance in our studies and our gym.
Right.
So since I train 6 times a week,
Wow.
my Sunday is my off day, and that's when I try to catch up. And
You watch movies?
when I have free times at night
Right.
with my family.
Do you drink smoothies? I mean, just out of curiosity, do you do stuff that
Yeah.
normal 14-year-old girls do?
Yeah, I will do it.
Rachel, just very quickly, are there any plans to sort of bring former Malaysian gymnasts into the fray to sort of help with the new vision?
Oh, I think we have. So we've got Dr. Farhani, who's the vice president. We've got Kaujik Kaur, who is...
Wait, did you just say Dr. Farhani Imran?
Yes, you did.
The
I did.
absolute legend.
She is, isn't she?
Right. Okay.
She's been great in putting together some of the mental health stuff that we're doing to strengthen some of the kids in terms of their spirits and the motivation to work towards the future. But we'll also we have Shu Wai, who's currently the gymnastics coach for the female. AG, and then there's also Shu Liang, his brother, who coaches the guys. So we actually have a lot of former gymnasts coming back and bringing forward and wanting to bring forward the sport in Malaysia at this point.
Right. Now, going back to Alisha, this is something I think that most girls your age always get asked because you're still young, you're 14 years old, but lots of people out there, I guess, want to know because there's so many sports, there's so many sort of things that you could have done from a very young age. But why did you specifically choose to be a rhythmic gymnast? And when did you start actively to get involved in the sports of gymnasts?
My older sister started off with the sport, and I saw her perform over and over again at competitions and at home, and I was like, oh, I want to start doing this. It looks interesting and it looks fun.
Right.
So
how many siblings do you have?
I have 5 siblings, and my mom has 6 kids, and I am the second oldest.
You are the second oldest. Okay, so you're talking about your elder sister getting involved in gymnastics first before you?
Yes.
Right, so you sort of got the passion from looking at her and how she did.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, so being just 14 years old, managing schedule, I guess, is another thing. Because we did sort of get into it just now a little bit, but I think we didn't get into detail enough. How do you manage that schedule, though, with school, studies, and also the fact that you got to train? Like you said, 6 days a week training. So when do you actually find time to study or to, prepare for like your big exams when, you're 15 and stuff like that?
My teachers are very supportive of me, and they support whatever I do. So they would email me all of my work, and when I have free time, I'll revise on that. And if I have any questions, I'll go to school and ask them about it.
Brilliant stuff. So excited for you. Okay, when you talk about achieving their dreams and getting them to where they want to be, right, Rachel? So, what sort of plans do you have in place in order that they sort of not just get to the vision that we've set for them, but also how do you help them be the best of themselves in that sense?
I think it's multiple ways, right? So sports as a whole allows you to be a better person because you have discipline, you learn perseverance, you learn you've got exposure very quickly as a kid to a lot of things, competition, high pressured, people, attention. So for us, it's also just marrying all the good values that we already have from sports, and bringing them and giving them the proper guidance to allow them to be who they want to be.
Right.
I think that's very important for us. But in a longer scheme of things or bigger scheme of things, that we're looking to push out more grassroots developments in Malaysia, putting more classes and bringing gymnastics to the kids that don't normally have advantage. And again, like, you know, hopefully finding, you know, another Alisha or another Carolyn Aoyong. And I think that's what we're looking to do at this point.
Yeah, it's so fun that you mentioned the fact that, you know, every time we talk about Malaysian gym rama and gymnastics per se, we always look back to 1998, 20 years ago. So looking at long-term development goals to, say, make 2020 the next iconic year for Malaysian gymnastics, for example, what are those long-term development goals, and how long, you know, before we can wait to see that sort of like glorious moment once again?
So I've spoken to, you know, YB Sadiq and YB Stephen on this, right? So my plan is to do a 2024 Olympics, and, you know, preparing girls like Alisha and Reina to, you know, work towards that 2024.
Right.
When we look at sports, we always talk about the next SEA Games, and SEA Games is every 2 years, right? But what we have to think about is, you know, what is the next 5 years? You know, who are the, you know, talented, you know, gymnasts coming up in the pipeline, and we have to be able to support them in their dreams. And it's, you know, training, you know, mental health, it's, you know, the food nutrition, but, you know, it's just then developing as a person as well. So I think for us, it's, you know, what is the long-term plan? And I think everybody, KBS, MSN, you know, CIMB, who's a nice sponsor for us, is willing to sponsor. It's amazing
because there's so much detailing that you're saying to me right now that goes into preparing this.
Correct, yes. And I think we're getting there, right? So again, like, you know, Alisha, for example, is aiming for the 2024 Olympics. You know, she'll be 19 at that time of time. You know, we've got, you know, Russian training camps, we've got competitions, we've got, you know, a very long list of, you know, plan with her mummy here that is, you know, willing to, you know, work together with. And I think that's where we want to be. And, you know, again, building that pipeline for the future, and not just, you know, concentrating on the 2019 SEA Games.
I know. Right. But this is one quick question that I want to fit in before we're done here today. Alisha, just very quickly, if you could just name me a few challenges that you face so far in getting to where you want to be.
I think one of the challenges is performing a good and clean routine and trying to execute the routine with a good score.
Right. So after you're done, do you really know sometimes whether you've done really good, or are you still like skeptical as to, I may not get such good points, but there are times where you feel so good that you should, you know, like score highest points and you don't, right? So how does that play in your mind?
I know when I do a good routine and I know when I do a bad routine, and I try to analyze my mistakes after I get off the carpet. So I think I would know how it would be.
All right. You know, whatever it is, I wish you all the best. I'm just in love with your personality, and I think you're going to be big for Malaysia in the years to come. Thank you so much, Alisha. Thank you so much, Rachel, for your time. Unfortunately, kita kesuntukkan masa dan sampai di sini saja sempat kami menemani anda. Terima kasih kepada dua tetamu kita pada hari ini, dengan harapan forum akan terus membawa tetamu-tetamu istimewa untuk minggu-minggu yang akan datang. Jangan lupa janji anda bersama forum Astro Arena 81, 82 HD. Majulah sukan untuk Malaysia. Kita jumpa lagi minggu hadapan. Bye-bye.